Na-min-so wonders if he has already figured out his fighting style. Now, Han-jun was pushing him back. Na-min-so's speed was considered one of the fastest in history, but Park Han-jun was a monster. The girl asked why he was getting beaten up, to which he replies that he wasn't particularly getting beaten up. Instead, he was learning through his body. Every time Na-min-so uses a new fighting style, Han-jun figures it out. He's been training like a mad dog all this time, and he wasn't going to give up that easily. He dodges Han-jun's next attack and strikes him back with his full speed and power. He badly injures Han-jun and throws his body and starts punching him as fast as he could, not giving him any chance to fight back. He goes faster and faster until Han-jun couldn't keep up with him. Jun-woo says that it was already over, and we see that Han-jun strikes Na-min-so back, calling him slow while Han-jun was beating the heck out of him. Na-min-so remembers what his brother had told him and why he kneeled before Han-jun. It was to protect all of them, but Na-min-so was not having it. He kept asking his brother to stand up and fight back, and when he doesn't listen to him, he attacks Han-jun himself, and that's how he got that scar on his face. In the present, Na-min-so was losing the fight. He started to see why his brother didn't fight him. He was terrified and wanted to run away. One of the gang members provoked the number 2, saying if he was just going to watch. Now all the gang members attack Han-jun all at once. Na-min-so yells at them to stop and kneels before Han-jun himself, accepting his defeat. He finally realizes what his brother was trying to do that time. The others protest his decision and ask him to get up. Jun-woo told them that he was doing that so that they wouldn't get beaten up by Han-jun. He punches In-so for kidnapping him, and was going to let this matter slide because he knows that they are Nexus a lot. Every one of them was in debt to Nexus, the money they had learned from Nexus. Jun-woo had paid, as well as their tuition fees. They were shocked to hear that Jun-woo knew that they were working day and night to make their own money to pay the debt. He knew that Nexus wouldn't leave them alone until they pay the money. Na-min-so was grateful and promises to pay him back someday. After the Incheon incident, the girl was highly compensated for her work and wanted to go shopping with Han-jun at the Nexus Play Zone. In the thrilling story, we find ourselves in the heart of Play Zone, where a man named Choi Tae-soo takes center stage. He's got a history with Incheon, and it's not good. In fact, Jun-woo is the guy who loaned Incheon money back when he ran a casino in this very place. On the phone, Choi Tae-soo assures someone that he's got a plan in the works, but it's not all business for him. We also see a girl caught up in this high-stakes world. She's lost a whopping 120 million won in one round, and now Choi Tae-soo's men are escorting her away to collect that debt. But Choi Tae-soo's got a proposition for her. He'd offered it earlier, and now, with her losses mounting, she agrees. She'll help him find a girl who's connected to Jun-woo, and in return, her debt will disappear. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. What is the coolest fighting style? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. Now, back to the recap. Meanwhile, Dong-yoon, fresh out of surgery, is on the mend. He's not wasting any time and is already pumping those legs with some serious workouts. That's when Jun-woo pays him a visit. He tells Dong-yoon that he doesn't have to take on Nexus if he doesn't want to, but Dong-yoon's determined. He figures the only way to break free from Nexus is to beat them at their own game. Now, Jun-woo and Han-jun are plotting their next move. Their target? The man who lent money to Incheon, the head honcho of Play Zone, Choi Tae-soo. Han-jun's never heard of this guy before, but Jun-woo says he's the linchpin holding up Nexus Capital. They arrange a secret meeting with someone who's clearly scared out of his wits. He wants to know if they'll truly protect him. Jun-woo reassures him, and the guy spills the beans about Choi Tae-soo. He calls him a demon, and his story is a real roller coaster. This guy had dreams of being a model or an influencer, but nothing seemed to work. Then he got invited into a group with tons of followers, and his dreams finally took off. But it turned out these so-called friends were just using him to get to the Play Zone, where they lured him into gambling. When he didn't want to play, they tossed him aside like yesterday's news, and his follower count plummeted. Desperate, he returned to the Play Zone and started playing the games. That's when he met Choi Tae-soo, who lent him money. But here's the kicker. He'd borrowed so much that he owed Choi Tae-soo a decade's worth of debt. And now, he's discovered that Choi Tae-soo was the mastermind behind his downfall all along. Jun-woo reassures him, saying it wasn't his fault, and that they would take care of him. The next day, the same guy storms into the Play Zone and challenges them to the game. It was Jun-woo who had told him to go there and play again. At first, he freaks out hearing his plan, but Jun-woo tells him if he wants to get out of their trap for good, this is the best way. He gives him the money to play, as well as his own cut, and assures him about his safety. The dealer accepts his challenge. Earlier, the guy asked Jun-woo what he was planning to do, to which he replied that he was going to take all of Nexus's money through gambling, and that he had a plan for that. Jun-woo presumes that the dealer must be playing some tricks from what he had heard from the guy. They were going to take advantage of that. He goes all in the first round as the game starts. Gambling has its own rule. If you are caught up doing a trick, you lose all your money. Just when the dealer was about to cheat, he hears some commotion. When he looks at what was causing it, he gets attacked by Han-jun as he was in the middle of cheating. He gets exposed playing tricks, and as the rule states, the cheater has to give all his money to the opposing party. But they obviously wouldn't let them go with all their money. Junwoo had already predicted this outcome and had Han-jun take care of them. After beating up the guards, he goes to the other counter and makes them play. As the dealer was about to spin the ball, Han-jun attacks him and exposes him as well, beating the hell out of those guys. They did the same for 3 more branches at the Play Zone headquarters. Choi Tae-soo gets news of branches 2, 4, and 5 going bankrupt. He compliments their ability. He was talking to the girl Seo-hyun. She scolds her friend for making an excuse and bringing her there. He offers her triple the amount of money that Junwoo pays her, and in return she has to share Junwoo's plan. He was expecting some resistance, but she immediately agrees to it. Choi Tae has his doubts and threatens to kill her if she were to lie to him. He deposits the money in her account, and she tells him his next move, which was Han-jun attacking the headquarters in 10 seconds. Han-jun comes there, breaking the doors and beating all his guards outside with the gambling guy who challenges them to play as well. The guards attack Han-jun, but he's quick and takes them down in a flash. Tae-soo's mind was racing with thoughts. Han-jun felt unstoppable, like there was nothing that could stand in his way. Tae-soo, seeing the situation, ordered his personal bodyguards, who were massive giants from another land, to attack Han-jun. They asked for permission to end him, and Tae-soo granted them full freedom to do as they pleased. While Han-jun was locked in a fierce battle, Choi Tae-soo saw an opportunity to escape. He wasn't much of a fighter, but he had used his money and underlings wisely to get this far. He knew those guys couldn't match Han-jun's power, and he was right. Han-jun took down the 2 attackers with ease, but Choi Tae-soo had already made his escape. When Han-jun returned and reported this to Junwoo, he promised to find him soon. Choi Tae-soo and his friend were hiding in an undisclosed location. Tae-soo's plan to destroy Han-jun was already in motion, and with his friend's help, he put a 2 billion bounty on Han-jun's head, posting it on his website with over 85,000 members. Tae-soo knew that most people were too terrified to face Han-jun, but he offered incentives even if you just exhausted him. If you managed to land a significant blow, you'd earn a fortune. Word spread like wildfire, and thugs and delinquents from all over Seoul were on their way to claim the bounty. The underworld was in uproar, and the hunt for Park Han-jun had officially begun. Amidst the chaos, a girl approached Han-jun, taking advantage of his distraction. She rushed towards him, intending to stab him and collect her prize, but Han-jun was quick to react. He could tell she wasn't from Nexus because of her clumsiness, and he caught her before she could harm him. Just then, a guy lunges at him from behind, but Han-jun swiftly sidesteps the attack, maintaining his balance. He swiftly counters, sending the assailant crashing to the ground. Turning to the girl, he inquires urgently about the commotion. She hurriedly shows him a wanted poster on a gambling website. On the screen is a picture of Han-jun, along with a hefty bounty. Recognition dawns on Han-jun's face. Choi Tae-soo, he mutters to himself, but there's no time to dwell on it. A new wave of people surges toward Han-jun, determined to collect the bounty. He realizes that most of them are just regular folks, forced into this chaotic situation. Tae-soo's friend raises a concern. Are you gonna go broke with all these people chasing him? Tae-soo grins, a determined spark in his eyes. The reason I make money is for moments like this, to make people dance for it. Han-jun thinks these guys were scammed by Tae-soo, and I can't let him get away with it. The ensuing fight is relentless, but Han-jun fights back, trying to restrain his immense strength. He even notices a child among his attackers, his heart aching at the desperation driving them. He does his best to evade their lethal attempts while avoiding causing them serious harm. Suddenly, a call from Junwoo interrupts the chaos. Junwoo is sending his own men to help, but Han-jun insists he can handle it. He urges Junwoo to focus on finding Choi Tae-soo. He agrees and dispatches his team. As Han-jun attempts to escape, a man nearby hints to someone that Han-jun is headed their way. Inside a dimly lit warehouse, the entrance abruptly shuts behind him. Thugs waiting in ambush surround him. Han-jun realizes they used innocent civilians as bait to draw him in. These thugs are from Nexus, a notorious group. Han-jun's fury boils over, and he no longer holds back. He unleashes a relentless onslaught, taking down half of them within minutes. The remaining thugs cower in fear, wondering how they've encountered a seemingly unstoppable force. Amid the chaos, Han-jun's phone buzzes. It's Junwoo, informing him of Tae-soo's location and urging him to hurry. As Han-jun approaches the trembling thugs, he decides to spare them. They've already lost, and he knows the real fight lies ahead. Tae-soo closely watched the CCTV screens, his eyes glued to the unfolding scene. A triumphant grin stretched across his face as he observed the damage he'd inflicted on his enemy. There was anger etched on the battered face of his foe, and it pleased Taisu immensely. He believed he was just beginning, promising even more danger to come. As he watched, more menacing figures appeared on the screens, men eager to collect the bounty on his head. It seemed like they had almost succeeded in dealing with Hanjun. Taisu's friend leaned in and whispered a sinister suggestion into his ear. They should eliminate Junwoo using the same cunning method. Taisu couldn't help but let out a menacing laugh, his voice filled with approval for his friend's wicked idea. He didn't stop at praise. Taisu promoted his friend on the spot and raised his payment. He instructed him to take care of Junwoo as well. While the plans were being set in motion, a new face popped up on the surveillance screen, Junwoo himself. Taisu thought it was the work of his allies, but the man appeared terrified and denied any involvement. Junwoo taunted them, revealing that he'd located Taisu's hideout and found a way into their servers. Taisu realized they were dealing with a formidable opponent. Junwoo and his team were no ordinary hackers. They had infiltrated everything. Junwoo declared that if Taisu wanted to play dirty, he would do the same. He removed the bounty from Hanjun's head and replaced it with a much higher one on Taisu's own head. Using Taisu's own gambling site, panic spread among Taisu's hired guns. The message reached all of them, and they understood that Nexus was in deep trouble. They scattered like startled birds, fleeing for their lives. Taisu's own loyal collectors turned against him in an instant, driven by the promise of the hefty bounty on his head. They grabbed the money and made a hasty exit through the back door. Chasing them were the men who had come for the bounty, leaving Taisu with a sinking feeling. He had to survive this ordeal first before even thinking about reclaiming his former glory. As he rushed towards the elevator, his heart pounding, he caught sight of one of his injured lackeys suspended in midair. It wasn't just anyone. It was Park Han-jun, and his fury was palpable. Taisu was really scared. He tried to make Han-jun listen to him by saying if something bad happened to him, he'd be in big trouble. But Han-jun didn't care about Taisu's weak threat. He started hitting Taisu really hard, and Taisu was terrified. Taisu tried to run away to save himself, but Han-jun caught him and kept beating him up. Taisu kept trying to scare Han-jun with threats, but it didn't work. He even offered Han-jun money, but that didn't work either. Han-jun just kept hurting him. Taisu was so desperate to escape that he tried crawling away. He threw some money at Han-jun and begged him to stop, saying it hurt a lot. Han-jun finally calmed down, even though he really wanted to hurt Taisu more, but he wasn't ready to let Taisu go just yet. Taisu thought he was safe, but then he saw the gang of thugs who had been chasing him before. They were really angry because they owed him money, but now that he was on a wanted list, they didn't have to pay him back. Instead, they wanted to get revenge on him and claim the $2 billion on his head. That's how they cleared the bounty on him. Later, his lawyer told Juneo that Taisu would need 14 weeks to recover from his injuries. Once he left the hospital, they were going after everyone who had helped him with his scams. They all got suspended, and this made Junwoo really happy. Kim Cheon-soo, who was at the hospital to see him, knew that Taisu was just pretending to be asleep. Taisu apologized, saying it was his fault, but Kim Cheon-soo didn't want apologies. He wanted his money back, and he threatened Taisu to make sure he got it. Taisu screamed in pain. Meanwhile, Dong-hyun had healed completely and left the hospital. On his way home, he saw some members of Nexus attacking an innocent guy for money. They were about to seriously hurt him. Dong-hyun notices the rings and realizes they're from Nexus. He checks his injured legs and gets ready for the guy about to mess with his teeth. But then, his lackey starts yelling, and it's not at him. The guy's yelling at Dong-hyun, who's just doing his exercises while they're being bullies. One guy gets closer to threaten Dong-hyun, but he moves so fast, the guy can't even see it coming. Dong-hyun uses his injured right leg and still rates his flexibility at 80%. The others attack him too, but he takes them down and rates his speed at 70% and kick power at 50%. He's not back to his full strength yet. As he leaves, one of the guys recognizes him as the legend Dong-hyun. They couldn't tell at first because he cut his hair, but now they're 100% sure. Also, Park Han-jun and Dong-hyun, those two are super famous. They were called the best fighters of their time. They made history after fighting Nexus, and now they're back in the spotlight. Some people are just here for the show, while others are scared or mad. But some, they see hope. Now we're looking at Cheon-soo, who's inside a school. There's a fight in the hallway, but he ignores it and heads straight to the rooftop to meet someone. The guy he meets says if Kim Cheon-soo himself came, then the rumors about Park Han-jun returning must be true. This guy's Baek Moon-young, the one who stopped Park Han-jun from wrecking Nexus 2 years ago. Kim Cheon-soo used him to catch Park Han-jun and then threw him away. But now that Han-jun's back, Kim Cheon-soo wants his help again. Kim Cheon-soo assures him it's going to be different this time. Baek Moon-young can ask for anything he wants, and he laughs, saying he wants the Nexus throne. Kim Cheon-soo's voice turns cold as ice when he tells Baek Moon-young he can't handle that kind of power. Baek Moon-young's surprised at how much fighting spirit Kim Cheon-soo has, considering all he does is play games for tournaments. Baek Moon-young says he doesn't want Nexus. He wants to take care of Han-jun himself. After Kim Cheon-soo leaves, Baek Moon-young wonders why Kim Cheon-soo came to him. Does he really think he can beat Han-jun? Baek Moon-young figures out Kim Cheon-soo's real plan is to get rid of both him and Park Han-jun. Meanwhile, Baek Moon-young's left-hand man is torturing someone for money, and his right-hand man is excited to finally have a shot at killing Park Han-jun. He asked Moon-young if he should call the boys to help. Moon-young replied that Park Han-jun wasn't someone you could beat with just numbers. They had to use their old ways. At Jun-woo's office, Jun-woo and the girl were fighting again. Seeing this, Dong-hyun asked Han-jun if they could trust them. Han-jun said they had the same enemies and that was enough. Just then, he got a call. The guy on the other side told him that Incheon was attacked, and the number 2 of the Incheon gang was badly hurt and in the hospital. Jun-woo and the others arrived, and Han-jun told them not to bother. He would take care of it himself. While he was gone, the big man woke up. He had been pretending to be asleep because he knew that if Inso found out who hurt him, he would kill that guy. Jun-woo thought this was the work of Nexus and asked the big man about the guy who did it. Big man said it was Moon-young. Dong-hyun knew about him. Moon-young was the one who smashed his knee. He told them about Moon-young and how terrible he was. Moon-young made schools fight to decide their rank and bullied the lowest ranking schools for no reason. He had taken over all the schools around him, and now Dong-hyun's school was next on his list. But the students at Dong-hyun's school believed in Dong-hyun and were carefree. One day, one of the students from his class was targeted by Moon-young's gang. He asked Dong-hyun to come to a certain location. When he arrived, there was no one there. As they were about to leave, another one of their guys was beaten, and he had a message on his back. One by one, Moon-young kept doing this to his classmates, clouding their judgment. When his mind was at its limit, Moon-young appeared in front of him, and that's how their fated relationship began. At present, Kim Cheon-soo launched a new game. He would make schools all over Seoul play his game. That's how he does his business. He meets his advisor named Lion Kim, who is completely covered. He asked Kim Cheon-soo about using Moon-young to get rid of Park Han-jun, and if he really trusts that guy. Kim Cheon-soo assured the guy that he had plans for him as well. At the gym, while Dong-hyun was doing his reps, the girl asked him about Moon-young because he was from America, and not many people know about him, so she needed his help to get information on him. Dong-hyun refers to him as a fighting genius. Among the guys that he had met, there were only 3 geniuses when it came to fighting: Park Han-jun, Kim Cheon-soo, and Baek Moon-young. When they were in high school, no one ruled their area as everyone was afraid of them. Then he hears about Moon-young, who completely dominated his school on his first day as a transfer student, and things started to change at the factory where Dong-hyun meets him for the first time. Face to face, Moon-young mocks him and calls him a lackey. Pissed, Dong-hyun attacks him with a fast kick, which he dodges easily. He was furious at him for playing with him and targeting his classmates one by one instead of coming directly at him. Dong-hyun was consumed by anger at this point and was attacking him like a wild animal, but Moon-young was easily dodging all his attacks. Moon-young told him that he did all that to make the fights interesting, especially now he had a reason to fight him. Moon-young strikes back, inflicting great damage on him in just one punch. Dong-hyun realizes that he was hella strong. He compares him and Han-jun, saying if Han-jun was a wild beast, Moon-young was a venomous cobra who clouds your judgment with his venom. And that's exactly what was happening to Dong-hyun right now. He was consumed by hate and grudge, and Moon-young ended up dominating the fight. He starts beating him continuously, making him unable to fight back. Dong-hyun was about to pass out, but he forces himself to stay awake. He dodges Moon-young's attack and locks him in a body hold, making him unable to move. Now it was Dong-hyun's turn to fight back. All this time he was looking down on Moon-young, but due to all the beatings he had finally come to his senses and managed to keep himself together. Now Moon-young does the same, and they both march towards each other to fight like wild animals. After a long and brutal battle, both of them were completely exhausted, and they both fall to the ground. It was a double KO. As they tried to get up to fight again, their struggle was interrupted by someone. After the fight, Moon-young orders his left-hand man to pick the 100 strongest members from the schools they have conquered. Even monsters like Park Han-jun and Dong-hyun wouldn't stand a chance against 100 strong people. During that time, Kim Cheon-soo was also in the middle of conquering a few remaining schools. He was having lunch with a guy named Lee Mung-gil. Mung-gil mentioned something about Park Moon-young and advised Kim Cheon-soo to use him to get rid of Han-jun, because Moon-young was as strong as Dong-hyun. But before they could get on with that plan, they had to take care of the guys who were waiting for them outside. A whole school was aiming for the 2 of them, and they stormed inside. Mung-gil orders his lackeys to get rid of them, and the boss of that gang directly comes for Kim Cheon-soo. Kim Cheon-soo gives him a cold look and punches him so hard that he went down in just one strike. Now, Kim Cheon-soo was planning to make Moon-young fight Park Han-jun. Moon-young had managed to gather the 100 strongest guys from all the schools he had under him, These guys were afraid to go up against a monster like Park Han-joon. They were terrified because even Nexus, the strongest gang in the country, couldn't defeat him even once. Moon-young scolds and insults them for being scared of one person. Then he encouraged them and manipulated them into thinking that they could really defeat Park Han-joon. Now they were all full of energy and ready to go even up against Han-joon. Moon-young promises them that after he was done with Park Han-joon, he would go for Nexus and make themselves the strongest gang in the nation. Before they could get to Han-joon, they had a lot of work to do. Han-joon comes there himself, and he warns them in a cold voice. He says if they really think that just 100 guys were enough to take him down, he stands face to face with Moon-young and asks if he was their boss. Moon-young tries to talk tough, but Han-joon tells him to shut it and come at him with everything they've got. Moon-young puts his gloves on, saying it would be an honor. Just then, his two main lackeys attack him from behind. Han-joon can't dodge that. They attacked him with pieces of broken glass. He doesn't understand why they would use glass, but when Moon-young attacks him again, even though Han-joon blocks the attack, he still gets hurt worse than a normal punch would do. Now he realizes why they use those glass pieces. The rest of the gang attacks him too. Because of the glass on him, every punch he receives hurts more than it should. Even though Han-joon is stronger, he's surprised at how they just keep coming at him non-stop. He figures out that Moon-young is using them to wear him out and hurt his strong hand. Han-joon is bleeding a lot and he's being pushed back. To remove the glass pieces from his body, he takes off his shirt and ties his hand. Han-joon is furious now. Moon-young orders all of them to attack him at once. The fight is tough for Han-joon, but that's how legends are made. He even puts Moon-young in his place. Even after fighting 100 guys, he still manages to defeat Moon-young. Moon-young is desperate to win and tries to fight back with whatever he has left, but it's no use. He doesn't understand how this is possible. He's fought strong guys in America, even with huge weight differences. But he's never been pushed back like this, not even once. Even when he fought the guy called the strongest in America, he won easily. So how could this guy overpower him so easily? Han-joon keeps beating him until Moon-yeong falls from exhaustion. Han-joon stomps on him and warns him not to try to be cocky from now on. If he raises his head again, Han-joon will kill him. Moon-yeong is furious, but there's nothing he can do to change the outcome of the war. Before we continue, let's take a moment to shout out the on-kill, being 9,317, who commented, "I am confused why would people died on their native world can go back original world after being sent to another world. It sound like recipe for chaos. Seem like to me the divine beings are either very reckless or don't give crap, which explains a lot." On our hero has returned video. Thanks for commenting. After the fight, he was wondering if he could ever defeat Park Han-joon. He was looking down when his left-hand man told him that he should be the last person to be sad right now, because he was the type of person who would do anything to win. Moon-yeong gets up and decides that one day he would definitely beat him, no matter how. After that, Moon-yeong left Seoul for some time. Even after he was gone, the rumors of Han-joon beating 100 people and Moon-yeong spread like wildfire. They started to say that even Nexus was not safe anymore. And Nexus's position, which was absolute to the others, began to be threatened. So Nexus tried to take over their territory. But Han-joon exceeded their wildest dreams as they were stronger than any of the goons Nexus sent, starting from Incheon, Gyeonggi, and then Gangwon. He also knocked out all the guys who were known as good fighters. Everyone was excited to imagine that soon they would be free from Nexus. At the Nexus's headquarters, Mungul suggests it would be better to lynch him, but Kim Cheon-soo says that if they don't want people to remember Nexus as a mere gang of bullies, then they would have to start with the basic fear and purely defeat him in combat. That's why Kim Cheon-soo decided to fight Han-joon himself. Mungil objects to his decision. Lion Kim also comes there and advises him to remain calm as he would be putting the whole Nexus at risk just to take down one guy. He suggests they take care of this calmly, even if it means playing it dirty. And they also had the perfect guy for this job, the one who started all this. That way Nexus wouldn't have to get its hands dirty. They were talking about Moon-yeong. At another place we see a school fight. Moon-yeong was also there training. He was looking much stronger now, but he knows that he still wasn't strong enough to take down Han-joon. Just then, he was approached by someone. It was Kim Cheon-soo himself who offers him to join him, and he would help him take down Park Han-joon. Kim Cheon-soo offers him to give this whole area if he manages to get rid of him. Moon-yeong thinks that he was ordering him around, and Kim Cheon-soo didn't deny that. Moon-yeong gets pissed at him and attacks him, but much to his surprise, Kim Cheon-soo easily blocks his punch without moving an inch. Kim Cheon-soo told him that he already had a plan and money to back that plan. But that plan fits Moon-yeong best, and that way, Moon-yeong could also get his revenge on him. Moon-yeong vividly recalls how Han-joon had embarrassed him back then, but on this rainy day, he reluctantly agrees to listen to Han-joon's plan. As Dong-yoon heads back to his apartment, a group of menacing thugs begins to tail him. They corner him in a dimly lit alley. Dong-yoon's anger takes over, and he dives into the brawl without hesitation, like a wild beast, even though they outnumber him. Dong-yoon believed Nexus still followed the rules of fistfights, but to his shock, they wielded weapons and fought dirty. They focused on crippling his legs, causing him to lower his guard. It was during this dire moment that his own classmate, the current boss of Dongin High School, betrays him. He's already battered when someone he can never forget, Moon Ye-young, joins in. The realization dawns on Dong-hyun that victory is impossible. Minyon relentlessly smashes his knees and sends the gruesome image to Han-jun, along with a location to meet. Han-jun arrives at the warehouse alone, only to find Dong-hyun tied upside down, waiting for a gruesome fate. The war from 2 years ago and the final showdown begin. Han-jun scolds Dong-hyun for not heeding his advice to keep a low profile. Moon Ye-young, fueled by arrogance, attacks, aiming for Dong-hyun's injured leg. Dong-hyun's agonizing screams fill the air. Han-jun, consumed by fury, rushes to his aid, vowing to ensure Dong-hyun stays down this time. Moon Ye-young smirks, realizing that everything is falling into place for the next phase of the plan. As Han-jun charges like a raging beast, Moon Ye-young's henchmen ensnare him in chains. The distraction works, and Han-jun doesn't see it coming. While struggling to break free from the chains, other thugs swarm Han-jun, beating him mercilessly with their weapons. And so, the harrowing confrontation unfolds, leaving Dong-hyun and Han-jun in dire straits. With Moon Ye-young's devious plan moving forward, he managed to take them down while being in a bind. Moon Ye-young threatens to kill him today, and nothing could save him from that. The thugs locked the chains with walls, and now Han-jun had no way of getting out of that. Now he was stuck by the chains from all 4 directions. Moon Ye-young says that he doesn't care about loyalty or morality as long as he gets to win, and he would do anything to win. He attacks Dong-hyun in the same spot again to watch Han-jun suffer helplessly. The others approach him to beat him up. Even though he was tied to the wall, he still puts up a fight and was taking them down one by one. The thugs were afraid that he was going to break the chains, and that's exactly what happened. Han-jun broke one of the chains. Seeing him trying to break free, they get on with their next plan and start pouring gasoline all around the warehouse. While Han-jun was trying to break free from the other chains, Moon Ye-young attacks him with the iron rod on his head. Han-jun receives the hit directly to the head and almost lost consciousness, but somehow he forces himself not to get fainted. Moon Ye-young boasts about his victory before him and stomps on his face the same way he did back then. The fire had spread all over the warehouse. Now they try to calm him down, but Moon Ye-young had lost it and calls himself the strongest in Korea. His gang members forcefully take him out of there and leave the both of them to die in the fire. Dong-hyun blames himself for all of this and says that if it wasn't for him, Park Han-jun wouldn't have faced trash like Moon Ye-young in the first place. Han-jun gets up even after all those injuries and assures Dong-hyun that he was going to save him. Dong-hyun couldn't stop crying seeing him in that situation and still trying to save him. They both get out of there and went straight to the hospital. A few days after the incident, the police came to Dong-hyun and Han-jun. Only then did they realize that everything was planned. Park Han-jun was accused of assaulting and setting the building on fire in order to get revenge on the students from another school. The witnesses kept giving the statement that they were the culprit of everything. Of course, the police were not on their side too. And the most conclusive evidence was that burned building that belonged to Kim Cheon-soo's family. They charged for massive settlements through an influenced law firm, and they kept bothering their parents about it. When everyone was getting tired of it, Kim Cheon-soo demanded a sincere public apology from Park Han-jun. What will happen next? Find out next time by staying tuned for our future recaps. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great recaps.